YCS Lille says a lot about our current Yu-Gi-Oh format, and more importantly, it says even more about what Yu-Gi-Oh could be. Today, I'm going to be breaking down the top Yu-Gi-Oh moments in this tournament, as well as comparing the impact that this can have right now and the future when Rage of the Abyss comes out. Let's go ahead and jump on in. What's going on with y'all, big dog? And it is an amazing day for Yu-Gi-Oh! I hope that your day phenomenal. But if it isn't, don't let what happened at the beginning of your day ruin the rest of your day. Now, I know you guys are extremely excited for Update Monday, but I'm going to tell you right now, it's going to be on Tuesday. Now he named it Update Tuesday. I promise you guys, it's still going to say Update Monday. My boy R2 Garcia has $10 to edit this video today, and we're going to be talking about some really important things about how it can affect this current format and next format with YCS Lille. This just so happens to be the biggest Yu-Gi-Oh! YCS we have had post-ban list, and is incredibly important because it has some really interesting gems. I was able to watch YCS Lille over the course of 2 days, and it was a blast. Your boy even got banned from chat for saying TJ cheats, because you know he does. Seriously, go to any one of my duel challenges, Big Die, and you will see TJ do some moves. If he wins, he's cheating. If he loses, well, he didn't cheat. But of course, as usual, we're going to be breaking down some trends, some popular cards, deck list, and everything in between. And chat's going to also talk about what they observed from YCS Lille and some other things as well. And I think at this point in time of the video, it's time to talk about some popular cards. So chat, go ahead and chime in on what some cards that you've seen that had a huge impact in the tournament. And also, what are some cards that you wanted to do well, but necessarily fumbled? For me, I gotta say a couple of cards that were really good. Drollin Lockbird came out of absolutely nowhere, guys. This card is not only really good against rogue Yu-Gi-Oh strategies, but if you catch Yubel slipping and they need to be adding a whole bunch and they crippin', well, they dip it. Evenly went brazy. Oh, that was another crazy card. A lot of times negations aren't prevalent, so being able to use evenly matched to even the board has been sick. Honest and Pearly? Oh, we gotta talk about that. We gotta talk about that. That was actually what I would consider as a top moment, so we'll talk about that in just a second, because there's a couple of other moments throughout the tournament which I think were really fun to see. Droll shuts down Fiendsmith. Droll does indeed shut down Fiendsmith Wand solo, and if you are playing a Fiendsmith or Fiendsmith adjacent deck, which just about every deck is, if you open up with Fiendsmith Engraver and you get drolled, it means that your main engine probably won't be accessible. We saw cards like Dominus Purge pick up in a ton of play. Since Snake Eyes was almost non-existent, a lot of people weren't playing strategies where Dominus Purge would get in the way. Having an additional Ash Blossom and Joyous Spring means that you can stop two of your opponent's searches, which almost feels like Drollin Lockbird from time to time. I think some other really important cards were Dimensional Shifter and Dimensional Fissure. Those cards served a really big purpose of being able to slap up some of the top meta decks, but also were really good at taking care of a lot of rogue decks that were graveyard reliant. Dark Ruler No More was also seeing a lot of play in the YCS, and like Berserker said, Book of Eclipse was they was cooking. I think all of these cards will have some application into the next format, especially that Shifter and Dimensional Fissure, because a lot of the top decks that are, because a lot of strategies that were thought to be the top decks coming out of the set are weak to these cards still. So I hear Ritual Beast is gonna slap meta decks with D-Shifter and D-Fissure. They're already doing it. Exo Sisters can run both Shifter and Fissure. YouTube, the Stepsisters are cheap, unlike Leon's baby oil collection. Bro, I have one bottle of baby oil in my house. What are you talking about? I don't even use it. I don't, I promise. I use this oil instead. I also think that another powerful card in the format was Chaos Angel. Now, Chaos Angel is a really interesting card because, as you already know, it can't be destroyed by battle if it's made with a dark monster, and can't be destroyed by card effects if it's made with a light monster. If you make it with both, not only do you get to banish a card on the field, you also have an indestructible monster that most decks just simply can't beat. We actually seen a top moment in the YCS highlights, I believe it was top 8, where a player summoned Chaos Angel against Yubel, got rid of Nightmare Pain, and the player had to concede because he literally had no outs. Another top moment was a moment that you guys just talked about, Pearly using Honest. Now, I'm not gonna lie, it was sick. It was during round 6 where a player used Pearly Happiness in conjunction with Honest to outright win the game. Sometimes if you summon Pearly Happiness, you don't have enough damage, but Honest almost guarantees that you work. And this particular player was also playing extra Pearly cards and Herald of Orange Light to be able to stop monster effects. Coincidentally, it can even stop cards like Dimension Shifter, but also the Mole Charmy cards. Yasin losing via overextending into evenly. Okay. Look, Yasin's my boy. I ain't gonna lie. Him playing into the evenly is crazy, but we played a win game. I actually really do like how fast Yasin plays. I think it was incredible. If you guys seen him play, it's like boom, 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 boom. He actually makes the combo as fast as possible. Man's just like locked in, and that's cool. He probably forgot about evenly and was just thinking he has to have it, and it bit him in hindsight. Exactly. There are times in Yu-Gi-Oh where we're just like, F it, you better have it, and we play, and we get punished. But that is skill expression. It's like when you're about to Uno and they drop +4 on you. Nah, that's not skill. Hey, if you do that to me, that's why I don't play Uno. That's why I don't play Uno. I will. But the big thing we're going to talk about today is that how will this impact the Rage of the Abyss format? We know that decks like Azamina, Mermel, Goblin Biker, and Six Samurai will be moving into the format. Players are going to be experimenting with strategies, not only just like those, but other powerful cards that are coming into the format. And then there's Molchummy Flawless. I think personally that these decks still can compete, and I genuinely think that it won't be a tier 0 format. We're gonna have a lot of deck diversity. A lot of players have completely moved off of Snake Eyes, and it was a good idea, mainly because players are ironically preparing for the deck or over preparing for the deck by preparing for decks like Yubel. But for what we know it, the top 32 of YCS Lille was 10 Yubel, 1 Plant Link, 5 Tenpai Dragon, 2 White Forest, 1 Ritual Beast, 2 Labyrinth, 1 Snake Eyes, 1 Pearly, 1 Chimera, 1 Voiceless Voice, and 1 Fire King. But let's go ahead and talk about some of these deck lists and see how they could be applicable to the next format, because just because we're having new cards coming in doesn't mean the old cards can't thrive. Here we have it, guys. Valerio, I'm not even going to attempt to say his name, but this is his Fiendsmith Voiceless Voice deck. If you guys don't know how Voiceless Voice works, it is around this monster, Low Prayers of the Voiceless Voice, and once this card gets online, you summon this monster, Skull Guardian, and this card is an Omni Negation, something that's pretty rare into the format. I know that we have cards like Verrugus, and we also have cards like Fiendsmith Desiree, but it seems like if your deck can put up just 2 negations, it's a pretty solid deck. And Voiceless Voice has that built-in Omni Negation card and can summon Desiree as another negation card. There's also Dominus Purge as alongside of Ash Blossom and Joyous Spring, just another strategy that can use Dominus Purge as it doesn't play any Dark, Water, and Fire other than Ash Blossom. And even with the conjunction of Ash Blossom, you can just set Dominus Purge face down and activate it and avoid the you can't activate fires. As you can also see that there's board breakers like Dark Ruler No More and Evenly Matched that are really good into the format. I think that these will transfer over into Infinite Forbidden since there isn't any Omni Negation cards offhand that can stop these particular cards, and this will still be a really successful deck. But not every single Yu-Gi-Oh deck is built like the way that Fiendsmith Voiceless Voice is. This is a Kashtira purely deck with no hand traps, and I think that it's cool that it's running, well, I don't think that it's cool that it's running Dimension Shifter. Let me scroll up here so you can see the rest of the deck. But it is running Dimension Shifter and Dimensional Fissure, cards that we know are really good into the format. I think once Azamina comes alongside of Snake Eyes, it adds another engine to the deck, but it doesn't necessarily solve the problem that Azamina, Snake Eyes, or Snake Eyes Fiendsmith will have, which is being able to deal with threats like Dimensional Shifter, Dimensional Fissure, and everybody playing cards like Cosmic Cyclone, as well as Molchummy, Aurelia, and Flawless being played. Now, congratulations to Robin Doolin for that top 16 Pearly list. I thought that it was really different. It was fairly cool, and I may not like you for Shifter and Fissure, but you got the job done. So can you say, Cali, that Yu-Gi-Oh is starting to be more diverse in decks now? Exactly. Now, granted, we are moving towards the Rage of the Abyss format, and we could argue that more people are testing different decks just to see how they work. Yeah, Sphere in the main. This man was, you got to think about it. Sphere is really smart here, is because you can still go, like, if you go first, you just discard Sphere for a Pearly card. If you go second, you can Sphere mode him. So I think that we take these particular lists with a grain of salt, but seeing that these strategies still did well in a 2,000-man tournament is still some merit. A strategy that I think will be really, really good into the next format, despite it getting technically zero support, is going to be Labyrinth. And Noah Mufta's Labyrinth deck is... Guys, there's two different types of Trap Yu-Gi-Oh players, right? There are the Trap Yu-Gi-Oh players that play honorably. I don't know what that means exactly. I think that the simultaneous equation cannon build is crazy cool. Being able to banish cards on your opponent's field just by using the extra deck, something that this deck doesn't even really use really well, is crazy. But I also think cards like Power Sink Stone, Skill Drain, and Rivalry of the Warlords are... yeah. Trap Lab is actually really good into Yubel, like Earl GB says, and gets only stronger when Dominus Impulse comes out, allowing you to be able to get rid of monsters and activate itself from the hand. The only drawback for Labyrinth? There's no drawback for Labyrinth. This is still one of the strongest decks in Yu-Gi-Oh! And ironically is incredibly cheap outside of Dominus Impulses. So I think that this strategy will be able to transfer over into the Rage of the Abyss format and be incredibly successful. Now, I still have two more deck lists to show to you guys, because moving on into the top 8, I still think that this one's an oldie but goldie, but Ritual Beast is still crazy. We have all of the board breakers, guys. We have Dark Ruler No More, Book of Eclipse, we have Triple Tactics Talent, and in the sideboard, we have Dimensional Fissure. We also are playing that Dominus Purge. It's picking up. This deck is really good at what it does because it can clap Yubel up by summoning Archnemesis Protoss and then declaring Dark. And overall has proven itself to be one of those solid budget Yu-Gi-Oh decks that you can pick up. I think that every single one of these decks can be good into the format. But there's always that one deck that's just amazing in Europe. I don't know if it's because TCG players everywhere else just haven't figured it out, but the European special easily has to go to Plants. And as you can see, this particular build still follows every single theme that we were talking about. You have the board breakers like Evenly Matched and Dark Ruler No More, as well as Book of Eclipse. We even have Forbidden Droplets and a one random copy of Infinite Impermanence. Yippee. It has other board breakers like Blink Out. When chat said blinking out an access code talker, that actually kind of applies. But plants are still decently good into the format, and it's strictly because if you know how to play this deck, you're probably going to do fairly well. Not only do players not know how to play against this deck, but it also is just a strong Yu-Gi-Oh strategy that can keep playing through interruptions and can break boards, as well as tribute your monsters, your opponent's monsters, to be able to activate your effects. I think that the current Yu-Gi-Oh meta is shaping up to be a really fun one. And with Rage of the Abyss not having anything that's overly dominant or that can take over the strategies that we have right now, we can assume that these decks will still be really good. But only time will tell when the next YCS will come around. And of course, I'll be there to give you that information. Of course, guys, I hope you're having an amazing day. And if you want to check out these other videos, that would be great. Remember, drink water, say hi to your family, and catch the next video so I can catch you on the next one.